This is the Football Podcast with your hosts, Tyler, Andy, and Boyer.
Welcome back to Fantasy Football Podcast, presented by all three of your performance-enhancing dads. Finally, we're all back. Andy, glad to see you again. Boyer, how you feeling, man?
I'm alive. I'm here.
Okay.
Excited.
Good. You've been sick recently? You've been moving?
Yeah, I'm a mess right now. I'm a mess.
Yeah, and you seem to only be missing, podcast times. So I'm kind of confused here. It seems like you only have you only get sick on weekdays. You must have a weakened immune system. Because
I must.
It always seems like you're okay for football days, man. I don't understand. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into last week's picks. Let's see who was the big winner of picks last week. Go ahead, Andy.
So shock of all shocks, Ty had the most picks right last week. First time since week 4 by my count.
Hold on. Stop. Don't do this whole first time since week 4 bullshit.
No, we compare stats historically to talk about the drought that you were in. Ty got 4 right, and Boyer and I both got 3. Everybody picked me and everybody picked Jeremy. Good work there. Ty was the only one that picked Chris to beat Fryer. Nailed it. Although neither one of them wanted to win. I somehow was the only one to pick Robbie to beat Ty. That was embarrassing. Good work there, bud. Hey, at least you won in picks, right?
Robbie had a hell of a good week, man.
You didn't, so it didn't matter.
No, but there was no chance in hell I was going to beat him with the points he put up.
No, his team went off.
Why? Because people like to score points against me.
Truth.
Even when I sing.
And then I picked Charlie to beat Colin, and you two both picked Colin, and Colin ended up winning that one. I was trying to get some support behind my boy, my Super Bowl champ pick. But turns out Charlie and I are tied at 6-6. What do you know?
Ugh. Not ideal.
No, it's not great for anybody, but we'll get to that later.
Fair enough. All right. Do we want to talk a little bit about bad lineup decisions from last week? Did somebody put players in that they maybe shouldn't have, or maybe bench somebody that they shouldn't have?
I'll do one on my team. I benched the Miami defense, who have been really hot against Carolina, and put in the Eagles defense, who've also been pretty hot against the Giants, and that cost me 18 points. Now, I smoked the duo by 40, but depending on what happens the rest of the year, these points are going to matter. So if I end up being one of those teams tied for wild card, I'm going to need every point I can get, and that cost me quite a few.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't have done that, man.
Yeah, it happens. We can't all be winners like you, Ty.
That's right. I'd hate for you to all win like me.
I am peeking at Chris and Fryer's benches. Chris started Jalen Hurts, who got 7 points, and left Dak on the bench with 25. He also left Hilliard on the bench, who got 17 points. Started Tony Jones instead, who only got 2. There's a lot of points on Chris's bench between those two guys, almost as many points as Fryer scored all week. More points, that is, than Fryer scored all week. So there's that. Anything else you guys want to call out in terms of points left on the bench? Oh, Paul did. Paul left a lot of points on the bench. I said you got to get Gibson in the lineup. Everybody can run on Seattle. Gibson's been getting volume. Gibson put up 16.6. Aaron Jones put up 2.3. I also said start DK Metcalf. He put up 1.3 points. So that one's on me, bud, and I apologize.
Yeah. So what was your thought about that whole Aaron Jones rushing back from injury and taking over? And I mean, that was rough in general. I almost don't feel like you could have started that backfield in general, not knowing what the hell was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I know Paul played Aaron Jones because if Aaron Jones is healthy, you play him.
But Paul had options. Like
Right.
I am fully in the camp of start your studs. If Aaron Jones is healthy and you have what I would consider to be a typical lineup, then absolutely you have to play him. If the Packers say that he's good to go, stick him in your lineup. But if you are starting him coming off an injury over Antonio Gibson and Elijah Mitchell, granted Elijah Mitchell was also coming off an injury, so I support benching him even though he almost got 23 points. But I would have put Gibson in over Aaron Jones easily.
The difference for me, though, is the Niners are known to run the ball all game, every game.
Sure.
Where Green Bay is not known to do that.
That's fair.
So, but.
Yeah,
Anyway.
and like, I mean, you could say McCaffrey, Jones, and Metcalf go to the bench. Dylan, Gibson, and Mitchell go in, and Paul gets an extra 40 points. But nobody was benching McCaffrey last week.
No.
I don't think starting Metcalf was a bad decision. If you look at the game, Seattle still has a bunch of issues, but Lockett had 93 yards in the first, 20 minutes of the game. So that could have easily been Metcalf, and then they kind of cooled from there.
Cooled or just froze out?
It was an ugly game.
Right.
I'm glad I didn't watch.
Yeah, it was bad.
So a lot of points on Paul's bench, but that's pretty standard when you have a bench as good as Paul's.
Right. But other than that, I think pretty much with the bye weeks and everything else that were happening, there weren't a lot of other things to call out. So
yeah,
I think we should be pretty good there.
Yep.
So let's jump into the next little segment here. We did have Fryer and Chris had a bad week. And Chris, I believe, asked, what is the lowest winning score in league history? Because he thought he was going to be fighting for it. Boyer, you want to run us through those real quick?
Looking at the lowest four, the Chris and Fryer 165.42. That was the fourth lowest. So we'll go to a game or a week in 2014, week 2. Tyler 63.78 to 59.7. So okay, not much better. And then 2021, we already beat it this year. Tyler beat my 59.5 to 57.02 as I marched towards naked.
Just the week before.
Right. And then the kicker, it's Fryer in 2017. So there's Fryer again. Week 1, Bobby 58.24 to 57.12. So Jason's Fryer for being on this list twice.
3 times. He was the loser in one of them.
I was on there twice, so I mean, whatever. Also, I do want to ask you guys something. So I'm looking at the 2017 and 2014, right? That's week 1 and week 2.
I thought the same thing. No bye weeks or nothing.
Normally, you have a healthy lineup,
and you haven't sold all your guys.
Right.
So, like, I get week 11 and week 12 when you start to sell, when you start to have bye weeks, when you start to have those issues. You have 2 teams that are sellers or just suck because of bye weeks or just suck because they're Fryer. Like, I get that, right? But like week 1 going 58 to 57, and then another one week 2 going 63 to 59. Like, I feel like you should be, and I was one of those teams, so I can't say anything, but like, you should be pushing 85, 90 points at the first couple weeks at minimum, just for the sake of having a full team that you drafted that should be healthy and playable, right?
Yeah. Point of order on the Fryer Robbie week 1 matchup in 2017. That year they combined for 8 wins, and neither one of them cracked 1,100 total points in the 14 games. So pretty rough year for both of those guys, even by Fryer standards. That was a bad year.
Fair enough. So, all right. Chris and Fryer, you were fourth lowest winning score. So you weren't quite there. Get worse if you want to beat Fryer and Robbie from 2017.
Yep. And while I was in pulling these numbers that were relevant, I figured I'd look at the other side of it. So Ty, you want to hit them with the highest losing scores?
Yeah. So the highest losing scores. Some people owe other people an apology. It looks like.
Sorry, Jeremy.
There are some rough ones. I guessed that the high was like upper 120s, maybe low 130s. I think Boyer was guessing about the same because Andy pulled these numbers, so we played the guessing game. Andy told us there's none that are in the 130s. So we'll start with the fourth highest losing score, which would be Colin. He put up 125 against Andy, which put up 133 that week. So Colin lost with 125. Andy, you owe Colin an apology, but that's not even the worst, right? So that's
I'm not going to apologize for this one.
Right. That's a fourth, right? So yeah, you'll be all right. In 2014, a guy by the name of Tony, one of the 12 teamers, had a bad loss.
This is probably why he left.
He lost to Charlie in 2014. He had 126.9. Charlie put up 134.52. So we had a loss at 125, a loss at 126. And then in 2011, Jeremy lost to Andy. Andy, you definitely owe an apology for this one.
I'm sorry, Jeremy.
In 2011, Jeremy put up 141.16 points and lost to Andy that put up 150.64. So Jeremy lost by 9 points and put up 141 points. Not ideal, but what do you do? Sometimes you have bad losses. Then the highest one in 2012, Charlie lost to Walker. Walker, you owe this man an apology. Charlie put up 141.26, so he was a 10th higher than Jeremy. And Walker put up 150.02, so lost by about the same margin that Jeremy lost to in 2011. Charlie lost to Walker in 2012. So that's rough. You put up 141, you expect to win.
Well, to be fair, you put up 59, you expect to lose.
Also true. I got the win that week. It's fine. So that's those are some of our fun stats for the week. Let's run into playoff picture now. Andy's going to run us down the scenarios for teams and who has to do what for who to make the playoffs. And Boyer and I are not in contention for any of this, so we will let Andy talk about it. Go ahead.
Not true. I am going to also talk about naked scenarios just briefly.
I was just saying we're out of the playoff picture scenarios, so
sure. That I knew. That one I was aware of. So I'm going to go through scenarios to win the division, because those are at least wild card's a hot fucking mess. Let's just start with that. But Duo, Tyler, and Boyer are the only three teams currently eliminated from winning their division.
Yeah, Tyler Boyer sucks.
Those teams also are eliminated from wild card contention because they are all at least 3 games behind Paul and Chris with 3 games to go. But since Paul and Chris play each other, they will be at least 4 games behind one of those teams with not enough time left. So, so the top division, obviously Robbie's in first at 8-4. Fryer and I are both at 6-6. So, if Fryer or I am able to win out and Robbie loses out, then we would win the division. We would have one more win than Robbie. Fryer has the wiggle room, which is nice because then he doesn't have to rely on Boyer to beat Robbie. If they end up tied, so if Fryer wins 3 games and Robbie wins 2, Or if Fryer wins 2 games and Robbie only wins 1. If that happens, then Fryer just has to end with more total points than Robbie because they would have the same division record. So it would kick to total points. Currently, he is 70 points behind Robbie. So it's over 3 weeks, it's doable, but that's a pretty tall order. So we'll see. Odds are Robbie having a 2-game advantage with 3 games left, and one of those games being against Boyer, he's probably okay. All Robbie needs to do to lock it up is win any 2 games or win 1 game and have Fryer lose 1 game. So if Robbie beats Boyer this week and I beat Fryer, then our division is settled. The middle division is surprisingly straightforward. If Paul wins out, he wins the division. If Chris wins out, he wins the division. If Colin wins any 2 games, as long as the team that he doesn't beat, assuming that's Paul or Chris, also loses a game, then he would be in, or if he wins out. So this all gets a little bit messier if Tyler wins out, but that's not going to happen, so I didn't touch on that. I'm cheering for you, Ty. I really could use some disruption from you in this whole shebang.
If I didn't kill off, how messy would this division be right now?
It'd probably be the same.
That's not true. I would have won at least another week.
I'm sorry. Has CD missed games? Is Saquon playing well? Swift
There
is
was-
hurt.
There was a
Gibson was
week
good
that-
last week.
There was a week that Tariq went off and CD went off in the same week, which would have gotten me a win. So
fair.
go shut up somewhere else.
That's probably the week you beat Boyer with 59 points anyways. So that division is tough. It's very exciting. And I think that we will know a lot more after this week because Paul and Chris play each other. And then jumping down to the bottom division, Jeremy can clinch by winning any 2 games or winning any 1 game and Charlie losing 1 game, or by Charlie losing 2 games, even if Jeremy doesn't win a game. Charlie has to win out and have Jeremy lose to either Walker or the duo. Obviously, Jeremy in that scenario would also be losing to Charlie by way of Charlie winning out. The other way that Charlie could win the division is if Charlie wins twice and Jeremy loses out, which seems unlikely playing Walker and duo, but hey, what do you know? Walker had a really good week. Duo probably can't pull it out with all the injuries that they've had. So
let's talk about Walker at 5 wins already anyway.
Walker's team keeps doing it. His team is scrappy. Walker himself has always been a scrappy manager. So props to him for doing it. I don't think he has a good team, but he has a good enough team to show out some weeks, and that's happened.
Apparently.
Leonard Fournette recently has been a big player for him.
He's on Robbie's team now.
Oh, is he?
If you were on the podcast last week, or 2 weeks ago, you would have known that.
You're right.
Somebody
Sorry.
didn't listen.
This is what I get for missing podcasts.
Maybe
Walker,
he was sick on the weekend. I don't know. Did he just miss everything?
Boyer, I'll get you up to speed. Walker flipped Fournette and Amari Cooper to Robbie for Odell Beckham Jr. and Miles Gaskin and $10
That's
and
That's
some
right.
conditional
I
money.
remember that. I remember that trade now.
Yeah.
I remember that trade.
So Gaskin's also been doing well lately. Obviously not 4 touchdowns that Fournette did last weekend, but he's been doing pretty well. So that was a good get for Walker. But yeah, Walker can still win the division. If he wins out and Jeremy loses out and either passes Charlie in points, which seems very unlikely, or Charlie loses to the duo. So there's a chance for Walker. Ty, duo, Boyer, we need you guys to win some games to really fuck shit up. So do that. Those are the division scenarios. Naked scenarios. Robbie, Colin, Paul, Chris, Jeremy are all safe. Now, Boyer has 3 wins. Fryer, Andy, Charlie all have 6 wins. And Boyer has 992 in points. I've got 1225. Charlie's got 1203. I'm going to go ahead and call me and Charlie safe here because we're not going to lose points, even if Boyer manages to win out and one of us were to lose out.
That seems fair.
Fryer, on the other hand, only has 1078 in total points. So he's about 85 points up on you. Now, in order for this whole thing to happen, Boyer would have to win out. Fryer would have to lose out. Theoretically, if that were to happen and they would end the season tied, it's not unreasonable to think that Boyer would have gained 85 points on Fryer at that point. So that's a possibility. All of this ignores the fact that Ty's 4-8 and the duo's 4-8, and we would need to have several teams tied at 6 and 9, but potential's there. More likely, in order to keep his pants on, Boyer needs to win more games than duo or Ty. And if he finishes tied with them because he only wins one more game, then he would need to beat them in the points department. Boyer currently has a 8-point lead on the duo and is trailing Ty by a good 80 points. So there's a window here for you, Boyer, and that involves winning some games.
If I had beaten Ty when he scored 59 points, I'd feel a little bit better about keeping my pants on. Otherwise, I'm already planning my poses, so no worries.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I got 80 points on you because you may be able to beat one of your division guys, and I don't plan on winning another game this year.
That is a fair point. I think that Robbie and I are both beatable. Fry's a tough matchup, but Robbie and I are both beatable on the right week. It's just a matter of your team scoring more than 57. So work on that.
I want to put up 75 or 80 points a week and just stay ahead of Boyer in points. That's my whole goal right now.
Good luck, bud. Ty and the duo both have a similar situation to Boyer, except for the fact that they're a game up on Boyer. So it would behoove you, duo and Ty, to win a game just to kind of pad your lead here. But if that doesn't happen, it's only an issue if Boyer starts winning.
Fair.
Anything else on the naked discussion?
Should I start stripping now or?
Well, I was trying to give a little show just in case, but I'm not sure where I'm going to be at, you know. Just,
Ooh.
We'll figure that out in a couple of weeks here. So
Right.
wild card is real tight.
I heard that about some of you.
So Fryer and Charlie and myself are 6 and 6. Paul and Chris are 7 and 5. And then obviously the division leaders are ahead of that. If there's any activity there, if somebody gets past, then they would come into play for wild card. But for the time being, those are the guys that we're looking at. I'm not going to run through every single team's points and win-loss scenario to figure out wild card. I will point out that if Chris or Paul wins the rest of their games, they would have 10 wins. If Colin wins his other 2 games, because Chris or Paul winning out means that Colin loses to them. If Colin wins his other 2 games, then he would also have 10 wins. Therefore, wild card would go to whichever one of those loses the division. I think it's Colin because the division record at that point at 10 wins. And nobody can catch that because Fryer and me and Charlie all have 6 wins with 3 to go. So the best we could do is 9. So there's a scenario that the top division games fall perfectly and 2 of those teams end up with 10 wins. It's not likely, but it is possible. On the other side of the coin, 8 wins if Paul and Chris only win 1 game each, which requires Ty to beat one of them. Ty would have to beat the winner of their matchup this week. Colin would have to win out. et cetera, et cetera. But if Paul and Chris each win only one game, and if me, Fryer, and Charlie don't win out, then nobody finishes at 9 wins, and there's a lot of teams at 8. It goes to points at that point. But what is most likely is that there's going to be a couple of teams at 9 wins, and it's going to go to points, because that does not require a very specific scenario that asks Ty to win a game. That's probably what's going to happen. So 9 wins is what you're shooting for, fellers. Because of that, the key matchups that we're looking at right now is going to be me and Fryer this week, because we're both 6-6. So whoever loses this is effectively out, unless that miracle scenario of everybody at 8 wins happens. Whoever loses this matchup between me and Fry is pretty much knocked out.
Or
Chris
probably loses out.
Yeah. Chris and Paul this week is also huge, because whichever one of them wins is going to be up there pushing Colin for the division. The other one's going to be sitting in third, not feeling good about themselves because they still have to play Colin. So that's another big one. Colin and Robbie both get the luxury of playing the team in the bottom of their division this week and waiting to see who they have to worry about coming out of the Fryer Andy and Paul Chris matchups. So their key matchup is going to be beating whoever won that matchup in their division mates. Jeremy and Charlie against each other is the key matchup in that division, and that happens next week. So I don't expect anything to change before then for them. So, and then pretty much everybody else just needs to win all their games. Really, all of us need to win all of our games except for Robbie because and Jeremy, because they have huge wins, huge leads. But that's where it stands.
Yeah, fair enough. It's muddy all over the place except for naked right now. So
Yeah.
thanks for taking one for the team, Boyer. I'll let you keep it.
You know, I set the bar pretty high. I'm gonna reset the bar, guys. I'm just saying, if I'm gonna be doing this a second time, you better believe that bar is getting raised.
And I'll be honest, before Jeremy, it had been lowered a few times since you set the bar very high with the first naked picks.
Well, you know, I gotta make sure is that I bring it back up. There's a certain level that this is expected to be at. I gotta make sure it gets back up there.
So
that's the real reason why I'm so bad this year.
I was just gonna say, are you doing this to prove a point? Like, hey, get it together. Like, you guys could do better.
Exactly.
Colin Kelly's were good, I thought, right? Colin Kelly's were halfway decent.
Collins were good.
All right, maybe me and Walker's were a little low on the low side. Is that what you're saying?
They weren't the professional quality that Boyer got.
I say he didn't say that specifically.
I know what he's saying.
Jeremy put the work in, and I appreciated that.
I put the work in too. You got to have at least one fat guy in the pose, otherwise it's not. You can't have all ESPN the body issues with skinny people. Come on.
Fair.
You got to have that one fat first baseman just stands there like, I play baseball. Come on, you know better. All right, let's get off of that. Let's jump into matchups because we don't want to talk about any pictures anymore. All done.
I did not fix the spreadsheet. Let's start with me and Fryer. If somebody wants to talk about that, that's one of the key matchups this week.
All right. So I'll jump on that. All right, so Fry's got Brady, Evans, stacked, McLaurin, Montgomery. He's got Madison, Kittle at tight end, Connor at flex, and then he's got his kicker and defense. Looking through his team, those are his starters. I don't see anybody else that I would change out except for nope, not even. He'd probably keep his defense in. So
I might be looking for a defense. I don't know that I like either of those, but I mean, Vegas versus Washington isn't awful, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I feel like defenses are probably pretty picked over, and Raiders against Washington isn't a terrible option. So I don't see where he'd get a great option out in free agency or something. But if he does, then great. But otherwise, I think he's sticking with what he's got for right now.
Vegas has put up a whole 2 points in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, but Washington does not have a super great offense, and
don't start Gibson. Gibson's a good running back. That's not on my team.
And they have been turning the ball over at times. So I wouldn't feel bad about that matchup by any means.
Yeah. All right, go ahead. Go to Andy's team.
Andy's team. Andy's got Herbert. He's got Mike Williams stacked. He's got Lamb, Javonte Williams, Freeman out there in Baltimore. That's rough. Schultz at tight end, Elijah Moore at the flex. He has the kicker and defenses that we want to see. He could be playing Claypool in at either maybe his flex if he wanted to. Ramondre Stevenson. I don't know if I feel good about playing him at all. So he's probably pretty set too.
My only question would be, I know Miami, well, I guess it all depends upon that quarterback situation too, because the Dolphins defense is good. But I mean, I guess you have to play the Dolphins defense. I was looking at Philly versus the Jets, and both of them have good matchups, but I think the Dolphins defense just has a higher ceiling. So I think you got to just stay that way. Because I like both matchups. I was just trying to think which one would be better off, but the Dolphins defense is better overall. So let's just stick there. We won't even argue that. Go ahead.
So picks, who do you got?
Fryer.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Fryer as well. Sorry, Andy. This is where it ends for you.
It's, I did my very best this year to stay in it. I lost some tough ones. I shit the bed a few times, and this is when the bill comes due. So
it's unfortunate.
Fryer put up 50 some or 40 some points last week. So there's a window there. I mean,
yeah, it's unfortunate that this is a week that you really need to win, especially against a division rival, and Chubb and Hunt, who you've been riding at running back 1 and 2 pretty much all year, are on bye.
Yeah, save us a few seconds. Just chunt.
Why make many words when few words will do?
You get it.
But yeah, it's rough for you, Andy, that it also that happens this week and not say earlier in the year where then you could make your push late.
Right. Yep. And yeah, I've got the points. I just haven't gotten them at the right time, and it's not going to matter at the end of the year if I would have had enough to be wild card if I don't have the wins. So here's hoping I get the win this week.
You can carry those points right into the consolation bracket.
Yeah,
that's my hope.
I feel that in our dynasty league right now. So I feel that hard in our dynasty league right now.
My dynasty team sucks, and I'm pretty sure I'm also 6-6 in that league. So what are you gonna do? It's been a weird year.
I just suck in both leagues, so let's not talk about it. I have the second most injuries in that league, so it's fine. All right. Anyway, so we're all taking Fryer.
Yep.
And you're not even picking yourself? Can't do it?
I mean, I am picking Fryer to win this matchup. I am cheering for me, but if looking at my team versus his team, and like the Cook injury doesn't even matter because Madison is great in relief. So like, it's not like I can be like, well, at least he lost his top running back because my top running back's on a bye. He's going to be fine. I got to hope Brady and Evans shit the bed, and that is unlikely to happen against the Falcons. So it is what it is.
Right. All right. Well, let's jump over to Chris versus Paul. Let's run down Chris's team. He's got Dak, Jamar Chase, Kendrick Bourne currently in, which he's been solid lately. James Robinson, Alvin Kamara, Hawkinson, Boston Scott, Greg the Leg, and Kansas City against Denver. He's got a handful of buys and injuries on the bench. So he could put Melvin Gordon in maybe against Kansas City. But what are your guys' thoughts on that Boston Scott situation there for his flex?
I would much rather have Melvin Gordon in on the flex.
Yeah, I think I would too. Even against KC, who's done pretty well against running backs, I don't know that I trust Boston Scott or the Philly offense as a whole. So I'm not playing that game.
I've been saying it all year that I don't like that Philly offense. So I'm with you. I would put Gordon in and just pray for the best. And then I guess the other thing would be if Jalen Hurts plays against the Jets, do you play him over Dak Prescott against New Orleans? Problem is that game will be Thursday night, and you have to make that decision now. So I think you have to stick with Dak just because you don't know what Hurts is going to look like. Are you guys in agreement there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
Hurts might have a higher ceiling, but his floor is atrocious. So I'm going to go with Dak.
And
Okay.
Dak's getting Cooper back and Lamb back, and he just balled out on Thanksgiving without those guys. So I think
And apparently Zeke's going to get his full workload this week. I don't know.
who
They're
knows.
all-
He's gonna
Pollard's
get a
fine,
load for
so
sure.
I don't think it impacts Dak that much if
Right.
Zeke does or doesn't do a lot.
No, but I just thought that was funny that they're going to try to push him back and keep getting that dude injured. I don't think he plays a healthy season ever.
He should be on your team.
That's what I was gonna say. Damn it. All right, so let's jump to Paul's team. He's got Josh Allen, Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf, my boy Gibson, Elijah Mitchell, Gronk, Corey Davis, Gay, and Los Angeles Rams defense. He currently has Hubbard, Dillon, and Jones all on a bye on his bench. Deebo Samuel probably injured for a couple weeks, and Dallas Goedert. So I guess the only question is, do you play Goddard over Corey Davis?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Corey Davis hasn't been good, but I think you've got to play Davis's upside.
Yeah.
I,
Who's even quarterback for the Jets this week?
I don't know.
They're going to start one, I know for sure.
That's
I just
important.
don't know who.
If they start Zach Wilson, it's not a good thing. Although I want it to be a good thing at some point.
Right.
Man, he's got a couple weeks with Deebo out, so he'll be fine at wide out. He just really needs to get past this week, and he'll be able to fill that flex with a running back spot.
All good things, all important.
With that, who's going to win this matchup?
I got Paul, but Paul keeps losing.
At the beginning of the year, we kept saying we have to pick Paul, and it just,
Look at Paul's team. You can't not pick
understand.
Paul.
I understand. Well, and I guess my big thing is Kendrick Bourne is either 3 points or 13 to 20, depending on if he scores.
Right.
So between Bourne and Boston Scott, I think those are my big issues. And Paul really only has Corey Davis as an issue, and Corey Davis could still be good. So I'm going with Paul as well. I think his overall upside is better. I don't know.
I'm going to go with Paul.
What do you guys think Kamara will have any sort of limit during this week if he plays?
They can't afford to put him on a limit. They need wins now, and he's their only weapon. So if he's playing,
is that tomorrow night's game?
They're going to run him into the ground.
Yeah.
I don't think he's playing.
He's been limited at practice, but that doesn't mean a whole lot.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not excited about it. He's not enough to beat Paul.
Right.
Right. Well, I was just curious if you guys thought he'd have any sort of limitations, even if he did play, other than Taysom Hill taking the running load.
I don't think that the team is going to limit him, but I don't know that he's going to be 100% either.
Right. So, all right. Well, we're all taking Paul. Andy, you want to jump us into Jeremy versus Duo?
Yep. This one I'm going to go real quick because I don't think it's super exciting. Jeremy's got Kyler hopefully coming back, Justin Jefferson, Tyler Lockett, Zeke on a full workload apparently, Mixon, Mark Andrews, Tyreek Hill, and Duo's got Taysom Hill, Cortland Sutton, Michael Gallup, Miles Sanders questionable, David Johnson. Come on, guys.
Whoa, he was good one year. You might even draft him for like 85 draft dollars.
David Johnson, Zach Ertz, Van Jefferson. These guys have kickers and defenses too. I got Jeremy in this one.
Yep, it's Jeremy.
Okay.
Should smoke him.
So I'm assuming he's playing Tampa Bay against Atlanta on defense, though, right? The only real change Jeremy needs to make? Are you playing New England versus Buffalo?
I'd be okay with it. New England's defense has been really good, and Buffalo has not looked great. So I wouldn't blame him for doing so. It could come back to bite him. Buffalo's offense could roar back at any point in time, but I wouldn't bet on this being the week against a good defense.
Yeah, I would flip it, but honestly, it doesn't matter because Jeremy's going to win this matchup and he's going to lock in his division title pretty shortly. So I don't think it matters.
I don't either. That was the only question that is really had to be said on either team, though. So I figured I'd ask.
I'm not against the Patriots against the Bills. I think that they will do just fine, but having the option, I would play the Bucks.
Okay, fair enough. Me too. All right, Jeremy's going to win this one. Let's hit a little pow. What you drinking? Andy, on water still? God, you
Yeah.
need some.
I know. I thought about getting a drink, and I was like, I don't even want one right now. Hey, Baxter.
Hop on,
What's Baxter drinking?
out of the toilet.
Oh,
Is that
so
a
Miller?
Leinenkugel?
Yeah, Leinenkugel, toasted Bach. It's okay. It's not great.
Well, since we were talking about lowest winning score, I got a Revolution Lucky Hero.
Nice.
So I got lucky at least once on that lowest winning score. So here you go. Boyer, it's back to you, man. You want to jump into me versus Colin, or the Colin win, and we just move on? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just run through the list like Andy did. Colin's got Stafford, Diggs, Corduroy Patterson, Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris, Fant at tight end, Hopkins at the flex. Ty is running with Mahomes, which just I don't understand. Pittman, Higgins, Singletary, Ronald Jones. Man, you're in rough shape, bud. Gesicki, Bateman at flex, and both of them have kickers and defenses. Honestly, I'm not even really going to go through who they should go with. I mean, Waddle's been a stud. Colin could play him, but probably not with his receivers / Patterson available. So they're probably saying where they're at, and I'm picking Colin.
I'm going to score at least 85 points this week, and Colin's going to beat me by at least 25. So
I don't think Ty gets to 85, and I don't think Colin goes.
I need the points.
I got Colin.
Mahomes
Okay.
is putting up 35, and he'll lead me to 85.
All right. Real quick, while we're talking about Colin's team, Colin asked me to re-look at the power rankings for this week because he didn't like that last time he was 5th. So I am looking at I'm looking at figuring that out, and we're gonna do it live here on the podcast. I'm not gonna do the whole power rankings, but I wanna just get a feel for Colin's team. All right, so you guys are gonna help me. This is just gonna be a simple either or game. Would you rather have Tom Brady or Matthew Stafford as your fantasy quarterback?
Tom Brady.
All right, Stafford or a combination of Dak and Jalen Hurts?
Stafford.
Probably the combination.
All right, I think Dak over Stafford. too. But
Well, and Hurts when he's good has top 3 upside every week. So
Also
I
true.
think having the combo makes it a difference. But I could see it going both ways. Either way, go ahead.
Stafford or Kyler?
Kyler.
Kyler, when healthy.
Stafford or Lamar Jackson?
Lamar.
Probably Lamar, but I think that one's tougher because if Lamar doesn't get the rushing yards, something goes wrong with that team. Stafford's more consistent would be my initial thought. I haven't looked at the stat lines. I know Stafford's had a couple bad games, but
Fair enough. Stafford or Josh Allen?
I mean I have to say Josh Allen,
I'm
but
gonna go with Josh Allen because of the rushing floor.
Okay. I didn't think that one would be hard, but I'll give it to you.
Josh Allen's been not great the last handful of weeks.
Right.
Even though he threw picks last week, he still put up top fantasy points. I mean, he was
Right.
mid-20s. So even on a bad week, Allen put up 20-some points.
Yeah, true. Okay. On to the running backs, if we can keep playing the game. So we've got Najee, Jonathan Taylor, and Patterson. Would you rather have those guys or Aaron Jones / Dylan, Gibson, and Elijah Mitchell?
I would go with the Najee JT.
I don't like Patterson, but JT and Najee are going to give it.
Eckler, Henderson, Saquon, or JT,
JT.
and Najee, and
JT and Najee probably.
okay.
Saquon's been bad.
Yeah, true. And then we go to those Najee, JTT, and Patterson, or Zeke and Mixon, which is tough because it's 2 versus 3, but assuming that the 2 is going to be covered by a receiver on the other side.
Right. I mean, I'm not worried about the flex one. I'm looking at the top 2 there, Zeke and Mixon versus Taylor and Harris.
This one's close, but I think I'm going JT side.
I think I would go Zeke and Mixon.
Okay.
It's tough because Najee is consistent in like the 11 to 15 range,
Right.
but he's not had that big blowout game, and Pittsburgh's not done that. So I think Najee pulls JT down a little bit.
I agree with that. And Patterson's the wild card, which I still don't. I don't know. I can't give Patterson 14 points a week in my head. It just does not compute.
Error.
This one ought to be easy. Kamara, Robinson, Melvin Gordon.
JT and Harris.
And then the last one, the Minnesota running backs, James Conner and David Montgomery as a trio.
Minnesota, David Montgomery, and
James
Dylan
Conner.
And James.
I think I'd lean towards that.
Just because James Conner's been so stupid good this year,
Right.
I mean, if you give it to Conner, you got to give it to Patterson, though.
Patterson. Right. No, I don't disagree. I think I would.
But at least Conner's in a good offense. I don't know, guys.
Right. I don't. Yeah, that one. I don't know that I can give you a straight answer to because that Conner and Patterson thing is throwing me off here. Yeah, I don't know. You make your own decision on that one. I don't know what to tell you on that.
Okay.
James Conner is that wild card. I just can't figure him out. I can't figure out Patterson.
Fair enough. All right. Moving to wide receivers. This one gets a little messy. So
Because of Patterson?
no, because Colin has 5 wide receivers. And that's not counting Patterson. He has Diggs, Hopkins, Hollywood, Ayuk, and Waddle. So let's, for the sake of just keeping life a little easier, call his top 3 when they're healthy, Diggs, Hop, and Hollywood.
Sure.
I would
You want Ayuk to be in there because he had 2 good games. Go away, Ty.
I don't. I think Waddle might actually be passing both of them.
Maybe. I mean, Hop's been nothing this year, but
Right.
he's also been hurt. So I don't know.
And Waddle's played without Tua for a handful of games, which also affected him.
Okay. Well, either way, Colin has 5 receivers,
Right.
so he's covered.
Yep.
Would you rather have that conglomeration of wide receivers or Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin?
I'd go
I mean,
Evans McLaurin.
No, I'd rather have Collins combination.
Okay.
McLaurin is just not doing it for me right now. I mean, I know he's had a couple good games lately, but Diggs has been picking it up too, though. So
That's fair.
I don't know. I'm taking Collins' side on that one.
I lean towards Fryer, but that ignores the depth. So Adams, AJ Brown, Jamar Chase.
Oh, Adams, Brown, Chase for sure.
As long as Brown's healthy.
Right.
Even if he's not, I mean, Adams and Chase
are studs.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Tyler Lockett. You can ignore Lockett if it hurts you.
Yeah, we'll ignore Lockett, but
I like Lockett, so I'm gonna go with the Lockett side.
Debo, Cup, and Metcalf. That one's easy. Yeah.
Yep.
Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Deontay Johnson.
I'm taking Collins' side.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. So.
Well, where were you at on that one?
I think that's probably a wash. It really depends on how healthy Hopkins is.
That's fair.
But it's pretty close. All right. And then last but not least, tight end. Colin has Darren Waller at tight end. Would you rather have Waller or Kittle right now?
Waller.
It's an easy Kittle for me.
Waller's currently hurt, which doesn't help either. So
right.
I'm going Kittle.
Waller or Andrews?
Andrews.
Or you owned Waller, so you're biased apparently.
Yeah. Assuming he's healthy, I'd rather have Waller.
Sure, but we're looking at, are you afraid of Colin's team right now?
Oh, then if we take an injured player out, I don't know why we're even asking the question.
I mean, let's call it rest of the season.
Okay, assuming Waller gets healthy for the rest of the season, I'll take Waller.
I don't trust the Las Vegas offense.
I mean, before he was injured, he was still tight end 2. I mean, it wasn't the big difference that we were expecting between tight end 2 and tight end 3, 4, 5, but he was still tight end 2.
Also, before, I mean, you look at the early games, 16.5, 6.5, 5.5, 11. I mean, that alone, compared to the start of the other tight ends, makes a difference.
So in terms of points,
Andrews has been coming on later. And go ahead.
Average points per game, Kelsey, Gronk, and Andrews are all above 10, not above 11. Dawson Knox at 9.5 a game. Darren Waller is 5th at 7.6 points per game. And that's an average, so that takes out any games that he's missed.
All right, that's fair.
Kittle's at 7.43. He's number 6.
Yeah, well, that whole Niners offense has been goofy, throwing the ball to Debo the whole time, and now with him out for a couple weeks, it's going to make a difference.
Sure. I think Waller over Hawk is probably pretty easy. Kelsey over Waller, probably pretty easy. Gronk / Goddard or Waller.
If we're assuming health, I'm going to take Gronk and Goddard. I just think Gronk's going to score the touchdowns. Brady throws him the ball.
I mean, if we're assuming Gronkowski's healthy, sure, but I don't think he's really going to play until the playoffs. So it's really Goddard versus Waller for me, and I'd pick Waller in that.
Okay.
I mean, Waller's fighting a knee injury, so that could be an issue for a handful of weeks that he I mean, they didn't expect Kamara to be out that long.
Yeah, but I don't like the Eagles offense. So if I take Waller with an injury over Goddard on the Eagles, I'm going to take Waller with a knee injury.
Right. Well, and I'm assuming Gronk's health, right? So
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is I'm assuming Gronk doesn't play, so it's Waller versus Goddard. Healthy Goddard on the Eagles versus injured Waller on the Raiders. I'm still going to pick injured Waller.
all right.
Fair enough. So, in terms of why Colin was 5th on the power rankings, and this was before Christian McCaffrey got hurt and Dalvin Cook got hurt, and only comparing Colin's quality players to the top 6 teams. Colin had the 6th best quarterback out of the 6 teams we looked at. I called it the 2nd best running backs because there was some wishy-washiness on Fryer's trio and Jeremy's duo of Zeke and Mixon. So I figured if you've got 3 teams that could potentially all be first, then that makes him roughly 2nd.
Sure.
I put him at 4.5 for receivers and tight ends because some of you liked others. So I gave him a 0.5 point there. But really, there was only one clear team that you guys liked better than him at those positions. So average all that out, and Colin's sitting at 4.
Okay, so he moves up a spot.
You can move up a spot. I don't know who
Good job,
moves
Colin.
down, but it's probably Chris because Kamara's still hurt, and AJB is still hurt, and Hawk is a bad tight end compared to the rest of these guys. But so Colin, you can pass Chris this week. I still will not give you any credit for Patterson. Thanks for helping me out with that one, boys. I'm glad I'm not going crazy.
All right. So I am on to Boyer versus Robbie now. Is that where we're at?
I believe
good.
so.
All right. Although we talk about Robbie's team not being great, I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this. Assuming my internet will speed along here.
That's a big assumption.
If it doesn't, then I will pass this over to somebody real quick. All right, Andy,
Yahoo projects this one to be closer than me and Fryer.
this is like a 9-point projection or something, right?
Yeah, Boyer at 85 and Robbie at 95, whereas Fryer's got 17 points on me. So Boyer's got Carr.
He's got Derek Carr. He's got Brandon Cook.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah, it just pulled up.
Go ahead.
Let me do this one so you do the next one.
Yep.
This is how we run in my internet land. Boyer's got Carr, Cooks. I don't think Robinson's going to play this week, so he's got Robinson in. He's got Jamal Williams, CEH, Pat Fryermuth, Jerry Jeudy, kicker and defense. He's got Mark Ingram on the bench, and that's about it. Everybody else is IR and bye. So I'm not sure what you're doing. Then let's jump over to Robbie's team. He's got Joe Burrow, Adam Thielen, Darnell Mooney, Fournette, Jacobs, Tyler Higbee, Damian Harris, and a kicker and defense, both from Buffalo, which have both been carrying his team this year. He has Tevin Coleman and Amari Cooper on the bench. I don't imagine we're playing Tevin Coleman this week. He was picked up, so he has him. Logan Thomas or Tyler Higbee, assuming Logan Thomas is playing.
I don't know that I want to start Logan Thomas the week he comes back, but Tyler Higbee had 1 catch for 3 yards last week, so throw Logan Thomas in there.
Right.
Higbee's not been good this year. Like,
no,
he had all the opportunity to be, and it's not happened.
Yep. Week 1, he had 68 yards, and since then he's only topped 50 once.
And with Robert Woods being out, I mean,
I think it'd be better.
I get they've got Van Jefferson and they brought in OBJ, but like,
still,
give Higbee the ball. What are you guys doing?
I mean, he's got 56 targets.
Right.
It's not like he's not getting looks. He's just got 39 catches for less than 10 yards a catch and only 3 touchdowns. And when you're a tight end that doesn't get high volume, you need to catch touchdowns. 3's not doing it.
Right. So I'm playing Logan Thomas. assuming he's healthy and good to go.
Yeah, if he plays, throw him in there.
And then would you guys play Cooper coming back from COVID over anybody else in this lineup? Or are you guys sitting on Harris and Thielen and Mooney?
I don't feel super jazzed about Harris against Buffalo. I don't think I would play Cooper over Mooney at this point. So it's Cooper or Harris for me.
I'm okay with Cooper in the flex.
I'm okay with either of those guys.
I think I'm sitting on Harris just because of a 2-week off with COVID coming back. I mean, I know that some players have said they've come back slow after having COVID. So I don't know that I'm going to trust Cooper. And I think Cooper's kind of been slowly declining a little bit this year anyway.
Agreed.
So I'm gonna take the chance on Damian Harris scoring a touchdown since New England's had a much better offense than we've expected this year.
Oh yeah.
If I need a guy to get me 6 or 7 points, I think I'd roll with Harris. So that's what Robbie's looking for in the flex.
Yep. Other than that, I don't think there's really any other conversations because we're not starting Russell Wilson.
No, I would not make that mistake 3 weeks in a row. I wouldn't have made it 2.
I did say play him last week. I gave him another shot and it didn't work. So I'm sitting him until he proves that he's actually decent again. And the Chargers are more than likely to give up some big plays, and the Niners might be a tougher defense.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. So with that, I'm going to take Robbie.
Yep.
I'm taking Boyer.
Are you? Good for you.
I am. It's close enough. This is my best. This is honestly, projection wise, the closest I'm going to get to a win. So, and I have 2 running backs that are almost okay. Like Jamal Williams should have all the looks. CEH is back. Like, this is my chance, guys, to not be naked. So
honestly, here's how sad the season is where you're at and where Robbie's at. This is the closest projected matchup, and Yahoo's projections blow, but this is the only matchup that is within 11 points in Yahoo's projections right now. So
I'm just like, this is actually the highest projected I've been in 4 weeks too. I think I've been projected for like 78 points like last 4 weeks. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to say that I have a chance, and this is it. If I don't want to be naked, if I lose this week, I'm probably naked. So I'm rooting for myself. I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
I'm rooting for you too.
As well as you should be.
But also,
I am not
picking you.
I am not rooting for you, and I hate to say it, but let's go, Robbie.
I've lost like 6 straight weeks. I'm hoping that just like the universe tosses me a bone here. Okay.
That's all right.
I think the bone that you got tossed was Ty putting up 59 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but then the universe took the bone away, like on a fishing line, like it was just teasing me.
Boyer, you are on a 4-game winning streak, I believe. That is 4 games since you kicked my ass by scoring 73 points. So good work there.
All right, let's jump to this last matchup, Andy. Walker versus Charlie.
Yeah, Walker has Jimmy G at quarterback, Hunter Renfrow at wide receiver, Odell Beckham Jr., who's questionable, Tony Pollard, Myles Gaskin, Kyle Pitts is a decent trio there, AJ Green, and then a kicker in defense. He's got Hunter Henry on the bench. Michael Thomas and Antonio Brown are never coming back. And then McKissick got hurt, so I don't know that that's working for him either.
Is Julio coming back?
Oh yeah, he's probably not coming back either. Walker's just stashing guys for next year so that they can be older and worse, and he can still pay market value for them like he did for Cooper this year. Charlie has Lamar Jackson, Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Austin Eckler, Darrell Henderson, Travis Kelce, Deontay Johnson. I've got Charlie in this one. But before we get to that, does anybody want to make a argument for starting Saquon over Deontay in the flex? I don't think that I would, because I don't think that he has to. Also, in his last 6 games, Deontay Johnson has 13 or more targets in 5 of them.
Yeah, I'd stick with Deontay here.
Yeah, that guy's getting a lot of volume.
I mean, and Baltimore's defense is not great. The Giants' offense is bad. So, I mean, just on that alone, I think I'm going to play Deontay. Although I think Saquon could be good still. I think the Giants are just that bad that they can't get him going.
Yeah.
So, on that, I don't think there's any other changes you're making. So,
I got Charlie. Who you guys got?
Charlie.
yeah, Walker's not going to get lucky again this week. He can only win so many games. I think he might have reached his limit.
I hope so.
It doesn't matter for you. You're
Sure
out
does.
regardless.
He's still within naked.
You need him to beat Duo then.
You're right. That's it's part of an option, I guess.
If you win 3
You would have to win 2 games at least for it to matter.
And you and Andy, you said is that Fryer's a winnable week because he scored 47 points. If we're saying Robbie's winnable, we're saying Fryer's winnable. I'm just saying there's a chance.
I'm certainly winnable.
See? My division is winnable here.
You're better off with me just losing all 3 of mine than catching Walker at 5 and 7.
I'm just saying, I just want him in the conversation.
All right, fair
Just
enough.
to give me as many options as possible.
Okay.
You know what's going to give you options, buddy? Winning games.
That is something I will take to heart next year.
You take care of business on your end. The rest sorts itself out.
Huh, is that how that works?
It's not working for me this year. I'm trying my best.
Well, you're not naked though, so it is working for you.
I'm not naked yet.
True.
All right. On that, you guys got anything else other than naked talk before we get out of here? Anything happening in life?
No.
No.
Boyer's kind of sort of healthy for the first time in a few years.
Who is? Boyer is?
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
Jeremy had a birthday, so
Happy birthday.
Woo! Whatever. I don't care. You still suck. If anybody else has anything going on, I don't really care. So that's how I feel about you. Win, lose, tie, whatever. Have a good fantasy week. We'll see you.